The crystal chandelier caught the morning light as I stood in the grand foyer of the Morrison family mansion. 3 years ago, I had been on my knees beneath it, polishing the Italian marble floor until my mother-in-law could see her reflection. Today, I was here to reflect on something entirely different. Sweet karma. Mrs. Lynn. The foreclosure agent checked his tablet. Everything's in order for the inspection. Perfect. I smoothed my channel suit, the same brand Victoria Morrison once told me I'd never be worthy of wearing. Let's start with the main floor. Isabella. Victoria's shrill voice echoed through the halls. How dare you enter my home without permission? I turned to face my mother-in-law, noting how her designer outfit couldn't quite hide the desperation in her eyes. 3 months of missed mortgage payments had taken their toll on her carefully maintained facade. Actually, it's my home now, I corrected gently, or rather Lynn Industries property as of 9 this morning. Her face, stretched tight from too many lifts, attempted to form a sneer. Impossible. This mansion has been in the Morrison family for 4 generations, and it would have stayed that way if you'd read the fine print on your refinancing agreement. I ran my finger along the marble banister, spotless, just as I'd once been forced to keep it. It's amazing how many people don't notice when their loans are bought by shell companies. Victoria's hand flew to her throat, clutching her pearls, the same ones she'd made me polish weekly during my so-called wife training. Where's Andrew? My son will never allow this. Ah yes, my dear husband Andrew. The spineless hare who had stood by while his mother turned his wife into their personal maid. Andrew signed off on the foreclosure last week, I informed her, right after he discovered who really owns the company he works for. The memory of his face when he realized his junior partner position was actually under my authority still brought me joy. Victoria sank onto the grand staircase, the same one she had made me vacuum step by step during my lessons in humility. This is absurd. You were nothing when Andrew married you. Just a scholarship student with delusions of grandeur. A scholarship student with an MBA and a trust fund I never told you about. I smiled. One that I used to start buying up real estate while you were teaching me the proper way to dust your precious antiques. The foreclosure agent cleared his throat uncomfortably. Mrs. Morrison needs to vacate the premises by Friday, I told him, though she's welcome to take her time cleaning it first. I hear housework builds character. Victoria's face flushed an unflattering shade of red. You planned this. All those years pretending to be the obedient daughter-in-law. Oh no, Victoria, you planned this. Every time you made me scrub a floor. Every time you told your society friends I was the help. Every time you reminded me that a Chinese-American girl from a modest background should be grateful to marry into old money. I walked to the living room, where I had once spent hours arranging flowers to her exacting standards. You taught me so much about running a household, so I decided to run several hundred of them. Lynn Industries now owns more luxury properties than any other company in the state. Lynn Industries, Victoria's voice cracked. The company that's been buying up all the historic estates. The same one that now owns your country club, your favorite restaurants, and yes, your family's mortgage. I paused by the antique vase she had accused me of chipping last Christmas. It's amazing what one can accomplish while everyone underestimates them. A commotion at the door announced Andrew's arrival. My husband burst in, his usually perfect hair disheveled. Isabella, we need to talk. About what? I examined my manicure, done at the spa I purchased last month. The same one his mother once banned me from entering. About how I'm not the simple girl your mother needed to train. Or about how your new office will be in the basement level of Lynn Industries headquarters. You can't do this to my family, he protested. Actually, I can. It's amazing what proper paperwork can accomplish. Your mother taught me all about the importance of keeping documents in order, remember. All those hours organizing her files. Victoria stood shakily. We can fight this. The Morrison name still means something in this town. The Morrison name means exactly what you taught me it means. Nothing without the money to back it. I nodded to the agent. Please continue the inspection. I want a full inventory of everything except personal items. Though I glanced at Victoria's prized silverware collection, I might keep the silver. I did spend enough time polishing it. Your father-in-law won't stand for this, Victoria threatened. Charles signed over his voting shares last week, I informed her. Right after I showed him proof of how you've been embezzling from the family foundation. Another lesson you taught me, always keep detailed records. Andrew's face went pale. Mother, what is she talking about? Oh, you didn't know? I pulled out my phone, showing him the documentation. Your mother has been funding her charity work with donations meant for children's hospitals. The board of directors is very interested in discussing it. Victoria swayed on her feet. You're lying? No, I'm negotiating the mansion for your silence. Though I suppose the press would love to hear how the great Victoria Morrison turned her daughter-in-law into Cinderella while stealing from sick children. You vindictive little. Careful. I cut her off. Remember what you taught me about a lady's composure. Now you have until Friday to pack. Though I suggest you start with the essentials. The Four Seasons has strict luggage limitations. The Four Seasons? Andrew frowned. Where you'll be staying until you find a new place. Consider it my final act as your dutiful daughter-in-law. I headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Victoria, do remember to dust before you leave. You always said a clean house reflects a pure soul. As I walked out, I heard Victoria burst into tears. 3 years ago, she had made me cry in that same spot for using the wrong polish on her floors. Karma, like revenge, sometimes needs a little help finding its way home. And I had just helped it find its way into a 20-room mansion. The news of Victoria Morrison's sudden relocation spread through high society like wildfire. I watched from my office at Lynn Industries as the social media posts rolled in, first confusion, then speculation, and finally the delicious realization that the woman who had judged everyone's housekeeping was now essentially homeless. Mrs. Lynn, my assistant Sarah, appeared at the door. The movers are at the mansion. Mrs. Morrison is refusing to pack. Of course she was. I checked my car year watch. Another piece Victoria had once told me I'd never be able to afford. Tell them to start with the East Wing. And Sarah, send in the cleaning crew. The same ones she used to hire. No, I smiled. The ones she used to pretend I was part of. When I arrived at the mansion, Victoria was standing in the garden, clutching her prized rose bushes. You can't take my flowers. I've grown these for 20 years. Actually, I consulted the property deed. The landscaping is included in the estate. But don't worry, I've hired an excellent gardener. The same one you fired for bringing me water that time I fainted while weeding in the summer heat. Andrew appeared from inside, looking disheveled. Isabella, please. We can work something out. Like how you worked out letting your mother treat me like a servant. I walked past him into the house. Or how you worked out telling the country club I wasn't allowed to use the main entrance. The movers were efficiently boxing up Victoria's precious antiques. She had made me dust each one daily, reciting their history and value, an education that had come in handy when I was appraising the estate's worth. Those are family heirlooms. Victoria shrieked as a crystal vase was carefully wrapped. Were family heirlooms, I corrected. Now they're collateral against your defaulted mortgage. Though I might donate some to the museum. They have a lovely exhibit on the exploitation of domestic workers. Andrew grabbed my arm. This isn't you, Isabella. You're not vindictive. I looked pointedly at his hand until he released me. You're right, I'm not vindictive. I'm a businesswoman. Your mother taught me all about the importance of maintaining standards. I'm simply maintaining mine. By destroying our family? No, by showing it exactly what it feels like to be powerless. I turned to the head mover. Please ensure Mrs. Morrison's personal items are packed with care. We wouldn't want anything to chip, like that Ming vase she accused me of breaking. Victoria's face reddened. That vase was priceless. It was a reproduction from Home Goods, just like your supposed old money was mostly smoke and mirrors. I showed her my tablet. Your father's company was nearly bankrupt when you married Charles. Another interesting detail I found while organizing your precious files. The color drained from her face. How dare you? No, how dare you? My voice finally cracked with emotion. How dare you make me scrub floors while pretending to be something you're not? How dare you call me a gold digger when you were one yourself? How dare you try to break my spirit just because you were afraid I'd discover your lies? Andrew stepped between us. Isabella, if this is about money. It's about respect. I cut him off. Something your mother never understood. But she will now. Victoria suddenly straightened, a calculating look crossing her face. What do you want? To humiliate us? Fine, you've done that. Name your price. I laughed. My price? You still think you can buy your way out of this? I walked to the grand piano where I had once been forced to perform for her friends like a trained pet. 3 years ago, I tried to tell you about my business degree, about my plans to expand my family's investment portfolio. You said a proper wife doesn't concern herself with business. I was trying to help you fit in. No, you were trying to keep me down. Because a servant can't question why her mistress's charity accounts don't add up, can they? Andrew's head snapped up. What about the charity accounts? Show him, I told Sarah, who handed over a thick file. Everything's there. Every missing donation, every misappropriated fund. Your mother has been stealing from children's hospitals for years. Victoria lunged for the file, but Andrew held it away, his face growing darker as he read. Mother? This is fraud. It's a misunderstanding. Like how you misunderstood my capabilities, I perched on the piano bench, or how you misunderstood that the quiet girl you forced to serve tea was actually building an empire. The movers continued their efficient work as Victoria's carefully constructed world crumbled around her. Every crystal glass, every silver spoon, every piece of furniture she had once made me clean was being boxed up. The Four Seasons reservation is confirmed, Sarah announced, though they're requesting a valid credit card at check-in. Victoria's hand flew to her purse, where her cards, now all declined, sat uselessly. Don't worry, I said sweetly. I'll cover it. Consider it severance pay for all my training. Isabella, Andrew tried one last time. We can still be a family. No, we can't. But we can be what we always were, employer and employee. Your office in the basement starts Monday. Don't be late. Your mother taught me that punctuality is everything. As if on cue, the grandfather clock she had made me wind every Sunday chimed 4 times. Time to go, I announced. The new owners need to start renovations. New owners? Victoria's voice quavered. You're not keeping it? Oh no, I smiled. I'm donating it to the state. They're turning it into a museum of labor history, focusing on domestic worker exploitation. Your cleaning supplies will be part of the permanent exhibit. As Victoria finally broke down completely, I walked to the door, pausing only briefly. Andrew, don't forget to turn out the lights when you leave. Your mother always insisted on conserving electricity. Well, for the help anyway. The sound of Victoria's sobs followed me down the driveway. 3 years ago, I had cried those same tears while scrubbing her floors. But today, the only thing being cleaned was her karma. And I had made sure it sparkled. 1 month later, I stood in front of the newly renovated Morrison mansion, now the State Museum of Labor History. The irony of watching socialites line up to see exhibits about domestic worker exploitation in the very house where I had been exploited wasn't lost on me. Mrs. Lynn, a reporter from the local newspaper approached. Would you comment on the anonymous donation that made this museum possible? I smiled, adjusting my designer suit. Sometimes the best teachers are those who never meant to educate us at all. The museum's opening gala was in full swing, and I had made sure to invite everyone who had witnessed my humiliation over the years. They now circled nervously, trying to reconcile the help with the CEO who owned half their mortgages. Victoria and Andrew hadn't been invited, of course. Last I heard, they were living in a modest condo paid for by Andrew's new salary in my company's basement office. Victoria had even been spotted taking the bus, her luxury cars repossessed after the charity fraud investigation began. Isabella? A familiar voice made me turn. It was Mrs. Bradford, one of Victoria's closest friends who had delighted in ordering me around at their tea parties. I never knew. That was the point, I replied coolly. Would you like to see the tea service exhibit? It features the same cups you used to make me wash while you discuss how I wasn't refined enough for your circle. She paled, hurrying away as Sarah approached with a tablet. The foundation board meeting is starting. They're ready to elect a new chairperson after Mrs. Morrison's departure. Perfect timing. I checked my reflection in the marble floors, spotless, though not by my hands this time. How are the donation numbers looking? Triple what Victoria ever raised. Turns out donors prefer when their money actually helps children instead of funding shopping sprees. I entered the boardroom, the same room where Victoria had once made me serve coffee while she held court. The board members, many of whom had ignored me during my training days, now stood respectfully. Ladies, gentlemen, I took my seat at the head of the table. Let's discuss the future of the Morrison Children's Foundation, though I suppose we should rename it. Any suggestions? The Lynn Foundation has a nice ring to it, someone offered. Actually, I smiled. I was thinking of naming it after all the domestic workers who have been invisible for too long. Victoria taught me the importance of remembering one's roots after all. As the meeting proceeded, I gazed out at the garden where I had once planted Victoria's precious roses. They were still there, but now surrounded by a memorial to domestic workers' rights. My phone buzzed with a text from Andrew. "Please, can we talk about Mother's situation?" I replied simply, "Ask your HR representative to schedule a meeting. During business hours only." Another buzz. "She's sorry." "We both are." "Sorry doesn't clean floors," I typed back. "But learning to live within your means builds character. Your mother taught me that." The board meeting concluded with unanimous approval for the foundation's new direction. As members filed out, I lingered in what had once been Victoria's sanctuary. Sarah entered with a final update. The Four Seasons called. "Mrs. Morrison's stay is up tomorrow. Book her another week," I decided. Consider it a final lesson in hospitality. She always said a good hostess thinks of everything. As I left the mansion-turned-museum, I passed the wall where Victoria had once displayed her family photos. Now it held pictures of domestic workers throughout history, including one of me scrubbing the very floors visitors now stood on. Beneath it was a plaque that read, "Success is the best revenge, but karma needs a helping hand sometimes." Victoria had wanted to teach me my place in society. She had succeeded beyond her wildest nightmares. Because sometimes the best way to learn your place is to climb right to the top, even if you have to scrub a few floors along the way. And as for Victoria's marriage training, well, it taught me something valuable after all. The best investment isn't in marriage, it's in yourself. That's one lesson I would never forget to pass on.